and welcome to a slightly later, actually, One Show with Matt Baker.
Yes, and Alex Jones, and we are on half an hour later so that the news could cover the tens of thousands of people who've lined the streets of Manchester, look, for the homecoming parade celebrating Team GB's Olympic and Paralympic heroes after their remarkable success in Rio. Let's have a round of applause for all of them. Heroes in Manchester. There's another parade actually in London tomorrow night. But,
although we're on the same time tomorrow, aren't we?
We are.
We are. Now, talking of homecomings, our guest tonight has just announced that he'll be playing his first big concerts since he was last on stage 9 years ago. Now, we could sit here and tell you how many albums he sold.
Could. Or how many top 10 hits he's had.
Yeah. Or how many music awards are on his mantelpiece.
But we're not going to do any of that. Instead, we are just going to let you enjoy some of the best. Here we go.
I mean, we just did that really embarrassing thing of singing your songs while you're sat there because it's you can't help it, can you?
Oh, it's nice. It's nice to hear it. You've got a nice voice.
Oh, only you. You're the first one to say that, Phil, ever.
To be fair, though, you were tapping away as well. You were doing the old bass drum.
I was just trying to bang the leg back into life.
Come on.
Okay,
You have announced that you're going to be doing some concerts in London, Paris, Cologne. By the time you get on stage, it'll be 10 years since the last time. Why the change of heart then? Because 6 years ago, you said that you were going to retire.
Yeah. Well, I did, you know. I mean, I did want to stop. And I did want to stop mainly because, you know, being married with Oriane and having 2 young children, and Matthew had just born and Nicholas was about 3 or 4, I wanted to be at home and be a dad.
Yeah.
You know, that was very important to me. Unfortunately, my marriage broke up around that same time, which means that when I retired, there was no family to be with. But anyway, you know, I kind of felt that I kind of wanted to get off the roundabout. But now I'm back with the kids, the 2 younger kids, and I'm back with Oriane. They've encouraged me, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, when they get in the car, it's like, play Daddy's music. I'm saying, really?
Is that true?
Really? Yeah, play Daddy's music.
Yeah.
And then Matthew, who is now 11, he'll say, well, when are you going to write some new stuff, Dad? You know. So you know, they're really to blame.
Well, we like all the classics.
But that's the
don't we?
point. It's so cross-generational, your music. I remember as a young lad, you know, I used to travel a long, long way to train for gymnastics, and every single night my mum used to put your music on. So I grew up with it just because of my mum who loved it, and now I pass it on to my children as well. So, you know, we'll talk about this tonight because we've got a lot to get through.
Yeah, we've got your book, your album, it's all going off, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all systems go, as they say.
Well, before all of that,
yes.
First of all, I'll put your motoring head on.
All right.
Okay, you're just passing a cyclist. You see them on the road there. Okay, how much room are you going to give them? And actually, do you know how much room you're supposed to give them?
Not officially, no.
No? Well, that's the question we're asking tonight.
Because Trish has been out with one police force who are trying to make sure that drivers keep cyclists at arm's length.
Cyclists and motorists sharing the road, not always a happy mix. And while drivers find some cyclists' attitude to the highway code infuriating, the statistics show those on bikes are 17 times more likely to be killed on the road than those travelling by car.
So here in Birmingham, the police are trying to do something about it by going undercover.
This is PC Chris Brock. Today he's swapping helmets and donning some lycra. With his bike-mounted cameras, he's going undercover to spot drivers who get too close for comfort.
When drivers overtake cyclists without giving them enough room, it's called a close pass, something which cyclists hate and fear.
Anyone caught today can choose to have either 3 points on their licence or a 15-minute talking to by PC Steve Hudson.
The highway code will say to you that you should, when passing anybody on the road, you should give it at least a car door's width.
But there's no way that most motorists would know that they'd have to be this far from a bike.
What we need to do is to try and take the education back to the car drivers and just basically remind them what the law says.
While Chris gets pedalling, I wait for offenders with PC Mark Dodson.
How important is it to go undercover?
The whole idea is that we want police cyclists to be treated like any other cyclist would be on the road. That way you get the true nature of the driving.
It's not long before a driver comes too close.
Mercedes, lane 1, behind you now.
The driver's disciplined but doesn't want to talk to us. Next up is something far bigger.
So here a bin lorry has been stopped. Imagine if that knocked you off your bike.
Most drivers choose the 15-minute awareness session over points on their licence.
But the most important thing is, if you try and take away is this 1.5 metres, this 5-foot distance.
So what do you think you've done wrong today?
Nothing. I thought I gave him plenty of space.
I cycle myself.
So if you're a cyclist, you should be a better driver when it comes to cyclists.
Well, I was probably distracted myself, wasn't I? I'm on my way to a business appointment, so maybe I was just distracted by that.
Your cyclist will always be instructed to ride between half a metre and 1 metre from the curb. Okay, that's the instruction.
This is the space that should be between your car and the cyclist.
Okay, that's much bigger than I thought.
Let's say your cyclist is sitting on this lane here.
Yeah.
Now, how wide are my arms and elbows out now?
Yeah, I suppose
My
I was
arms,
about
elbows,
here.
shoulders. Now, if I can reach across and touch any part of your car, you're too close.
Yeah.
We know you don't drive dangerously. We know you don't
Yeah.
drive badly, but all we need to do is just make you a bit more aware of vulnerable road
It's a good
users.
job I use my indicator now. Now I'm being
Well, it's
pulled
nice that you've got an indication. Amount of people that don't use.
And in a double whammy, Chris is passed too close by a driver who appears to be reading at the same time.
Just over there for me, please. But whilst you're driving your car on the road, if there's anything in your car that's causing you a distraction, you are a danger to other road users, and specifically cyclists who have got no way of protecting themselves. You were very, very close to that cyclist as you came past it. Too close.
Again, the driver didn't want to talk to us. Before he finishes his shift, it seems Chris has plans for me.
How did it go today, Chris?
It's been successful today. We've stopped a number of motorists, probably at least 15 in a short space of time. Let's get you on the road and you can come and experience what it's like.
I'm definitely more used to 4 wheels than 2.
We've got to take you up some hills.
Oh gosh, no.
Chris is keen to ride 2 abreast, which surprises me as it's something that infuriates motorists.
It's not against the law. The highway code actually suggests that cyclists do ride 2 abreast. You only have 1 length of bicycle to overtake. Whereas if I was to drop in behind you now, that car user now has 2 lengths of bicycles to overtake. Okay, so we've got a coach going past us now. Do you feel how much that just sucked you in?
That was scary. I will have so much more respect for cyclists, knowing what it's like being in the saddle. Oh, it's been a real eye-opener today. And if it means that motorists give cyclists more room on the roads, I, for one, will be getting on my bike a lot more.
And Trish has cycled here. Trish has cycled here. Incredible. It's lovely to see you. Let's just clarify then. So a cyclist can cycle a full metre away from the curb?
Absolutely. Forget mind the gap. It's a huge gap. And the highway code doesn't actually specify where a cyclist should position themselves. Use the default position. That's the advice. We spoke to Cycling UK and Cycle Training UK, and they said just make sure that you can be seen, and if in doubt, use the middle of the lane as a default position.
OK, so is this scheme going to be rolled out across the entire country?
Yes, it is. The Met Police in Camden are already doing it. Police Scotland are looking at it. And it's gone as far as Canada, Australia, Denmark and Switzerland.
Wow.
So they're looking to take this on. Undercover pedal police are here to stay.
Wow. My brother-in-law's in Humberside
No, I don't
Police. I
care.
can't imagine him in Lycra.
I don't care what you said. I have to say
Go on.
that within 2 or 3 minutes of being in London last night, I saw a cyclist cycling across a red light without any lights on.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
thing, because there's big fines for that, Trish.
Absolutely, and cyclists do get fined if they cycle badly.
Right.
For example, in Great Manchester Police, you can do a course to avoid the fine, but if you don't, you get
Like
the
a speed and
£50.
awareness. but
Yeah,
for
he was
bikes,
cycling
yeah.
very well, but just in the dark. Red lights, It wasn't like he was cycling bad, he was fantastic.
But let's be honest, motorists are still to blame in serious collisions.
Yeah.
57% of motorists didn't even see the cyclist at junctions.
Well, they've got no lights, that's all.
Trish, thank you very much.
We'll have to leave it there.
Fleeting
We're going to
visit.
stay on the streets, though, actually, aren't we?
We are staying on the streets. 25 years ago today, this magazine here was launched to help the homeless.
There we are. And to celebrate its success, the man who created it went back to his old college to reveal some of his own big issues.
My name is John Bird, or just plain Lord Bird, if you like. In 1991, I started The Big Issue, the world's biggest street newspaper. Today, I'm giving a one-show life lecture about the things I've learnt along the way. And it's a story of high art and low life. This is Brock's home house in Fulham.
Yeah, well, this is where I lived. At the age of 10, we lived up there at number 30. We were in the orphanage for 3 years, and before that we were in a slum, and before that we were in a slum. Living room, very small. Still the old noisy Kings Road, New Kings Road. It was a terrible place to bring children up. Dad used to drink a lot, my mum used to drink a lot. It was a poor quality of life. I started to get into trouble, given 5 years probation for shoplifting at the age of 10. And this went on until I was nearly 16 when I got put away to a boys' prison.
But one person saw me as a good guy.
See, the initials of my brother, Peter Bird. Peter, tell us, what kind of brother was I?
You're a good brother, really. You believed in education and you wanted to educate me, and I remember you giving me my first ever book, which was Kidnapped.
I was trying to get you in the middle class nice and early.
It didn't work, though. I'm sorry.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. I did my best. I did my best.
There's no doubt at this point I was on my way to a life of petty crime. But whilst in prison, I discovered something that changed everything for me. Art.
When I was 18, I was told that if you were an art student, you got to draw naked women. So I signed up. I was going to evening classes, pretending I was an art student. I said to one of the instructors, do you think it would be a good idea if I applied to become an art student? And he said, I thought you were an art student. Only art students are allowed in here. And they asked me if I had any levels, any O-levels, A-levels, and all those things. And I said, I haven't got any. He said, well, we'll handle that.
Suddenly, I wasn't a tea leaf anymore, but a promising painter and fine art printer at the Chelsea School of Art. But not everyone shared my newfound sense of purpose in life. My mum took my student grant and threw me out on the street. I now experienced homelessness firsthand.
I used to sleep under the rhododendrons, largely because people couldn't see you, but also because it was near the road. So if somebody did come and try to get hold of me, then I could scream and run out into the road.
In 1967, I decided to run away to Paris, which at the time seemed more exciting and, yes, artistic. Here my printing skills even came in handy, and I used them to print some pretty revolutionary material. I now knew what I wanted to do in life, fight injustice through the power of art and the written word. Back in London in 1991, I launched The Big Issue. And 25 years on, it's still going strong. So, with my somewhat unorthodox background, what lessons can I give to the students of my alma mater here at Chelsea College of Arts?
I'm here to kind of give you a little bit of guidance. The first lesson I would offer anybody who was starting out as an artist is you're moving into a world full of sharks. People who will promise you the earth and deliver you a flower pot. Never, ever take yes for an answer. The other interesting one is always start from where you are. I start from who I am, a severely damaged post-war piece of social wastage who eventually kind of got there in the end. You have to learn to be the best at something, better than anybody else. You have to burn the candle at both ends. You have to sweat blood for what you believe in. The Chelsea College of Arts should be full of aspiring geniuses.
And a big thank you to Sir John Bird. The 25th anniversary issue of The Big Issue is out now.
Inspirational stuff, that,
Yeah,
wasn't
it
it
is.
just? And Phil, your autobiography is out now, not dead yet. You don't hold back. Goodness me, that is full of certainly inspiring stuff as well. But can we start at the beginning, when you were a little lad with your very, very first drum kit, and just tell us that lovely story that you put there in the book?
Well, the first thing when I was 3 that I remember was a plastic drum, you know. And back in my day, you know, when it was Christmas, you got a soldier, a ball.
Tangerine?
Yeah. Yes. You know, I mean, you didn't get the complete Star Wars fleet. You didn't get a PlayStation with all the games. So life was different, but I took to this drum, and so my uncles, family uncles, made me a drum kit when I was 5, and then I gradually... I got to know a friend across the road who was selling a snare drum, bass drum, coincidentally. And then at 12, I made the ultimate sacrifice of selling my brother's train set.
Did you ask him permission?
No, of course
not.
No. Well, by that point, it was almost my train set. But, you know, my mum and I went 50% each on a cheap drum kit, and we went to a shop called Albert's in Twickenham, which, you know, of course is no longer there. But that, you know, I bought a drum kit, and that saw me through the early 60s, you know. And the early 60s was when it was all happening.
And it became at one point a bit of a toss-up, really, didn't it, between acting and drumming?
Well, for me, it didn't.
But your parents were supportive either way, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they were quite keen on that path.
Yeah, but I mean, back then, you know, if you want to be a drummer, you had to wait till you were 18, 19 before you could do it. Now, you know, you've got multi-platinum records on your wall if you're 14, you know. So I did the acting thing. It was great fun. I mean, some things were much more fun than others. The Artful Dodger.
There you are.
Yeah, there you are.
The Artful Dodger and Oliver with Jack Wilde there. You know, that was fantastic. Then I had some dodgy moments, and really all I wanted to do was play drums. So as soon as I could escape, I did. Much to my father's, I won't say disgust, that's too strong. He wasn't
convinced,
he was disappointed.
was it?
No.
Yeah.
He just felt what it would be better for you to go into acting as opposed
No,
to...
it'd be better for me to go into the City of London Assurance, which is what he did.
Oh, really? Oh, well, there we are. Well, listen, talking of going into the city, we took a drum kit earlier on into the city just to see what would happen, Al, if we just left it there.
If we could find any budding Phil Collinses. This is what happened. Have a look.
It's a bit like going into a trance when you play drums.
I play African drums, but you won't play it because neighbors may complain.
Really liberating, yeah, getting all my frustrations out.
When I'm drumming, it makes me feel powerful.
How did it feel?
Excited.
So, what do you reckon? Anybody there that you thought had a real knack?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was some stuff at the end there that was kind of, what impressed me, actually, was that about 3 or 4 guys in, the sound changed, and it became more roomy. And that sounded impressive. Because sometimes it's not what you play, it's the sound of what you play, And you can do and if the sound is right.
That's what I always say, isn't it, about drumming?
So true.
But I do think it's a great idea, for kids.
Yeah.
To have, I mean, if your house allows, to have a place, because it lets off steam, and it kind of, gives you a bit of kind of, this is me doing it. I think that's good for kids.
I couldn't agree more. And your household has been full of music. And you were saying earlier on about your sons and how they both are brilliant drummers, both Simon and Nick.
Well, Simon's 40 now, he's a fantastic drummer. And he plays piano, writes, sings, does his own records. Nicholas, he's 15 now, and he's awesome drummer, I have to say, awesome. And I haven't taught them. I mean, Matthew, my youngest, is a fantastic soccer player.
Right.
I say soccer because it's American, man. It's football, really. If you live over there, football's something else. But it's yeah, I'm very lucky. All my kids have become very talented.
Yeah.
And it's just as well, really. It's just as well, though, Phil, isn't it? Because your dedication to drumming has resulted, and you talk very candidly in the book about it, in lots and lots of health problems as a result. How are you now, then?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Actually, I'm okay. I mean, I've still got this problem with my left arm a little bit. It's getting better, and I should practice. You get to Carnegie Hall by practicing. But I had back surgery a year ago, and that kind of left me with a numb foot, hence the stick that I arrived in. And it's just that the nerves need to regenerate. So apart from that, I'm fine. And that's why I called the book "Not Dead Yet."
Yeah.
Because a lot has been made of the health,
Yeah, and this book, I mean, it took you, didn't it, about 5 years to write it. You've waited a long time to do it. And what's the reason for you putting all this down? Because you say at the beginning, in the first few pages, this is my view. What happened? These are the events the way I see them. So have you tried to kind of set the record straight with this?
Well, it wasn't meant to be a get-even book. It was just to take a bit of the lid off things. That we all have... We've all got, we've all been young with our mums and dads, we have children. And suddenly, you can fall, and the accident, witnesses to accidents. Someone said he wore a grey jumper, someone said he wore a blue jumper, somewhere said... We all perceive things differently.
Yeah.
And so, in life, my camera went off at a certain time, and I remember things a certain way. So I kind of preempt that by saying, this is my view. This is the way I remember it happening.
Well, Phil, it is just the most extraordinary read, page after page, decade after decade. And we haven't got any more time to talk about it because we talked about so much this evening. But anyway, go out and read it. It's out on Thursday. It really is something else. But what we are going to do now is we're going to invite a new visitor to the UK. Just have a look, everybody. This is the Vipers Bug Gloss Mason Bee, which has just been spotted for the very first time on our shores in Greenwich Park, if you're interested.
And if you're a rare bee connoisseur, then George has found something else for you at a very unlikely site.
Canby Wake in Essex was once earmarked for an oil refinery. Building work started, but in the 1970s, all development stopped. The abandoned brownfield site has been since dubbed the Wild East of modern Britain. The oil refinery developers dredged the Thames and dumped the shell-laden, nutrient-rich soil on the surrounding land, inadvertently creating the perfect habitat for plants, birds and invertebrates. By some measures of diversity, Canby Wick could be as rich as a rainforest. Dr. Sarah Henshaw of Bug Life manages the site along with the RSPB. Now, this is an SSSI, a Site of Special Scientific Interest, but it's particularly so because of the insects.
There's around 1,400 species of invertebrate found on this site. It's got everything they need to complete their life cycle. There's areas of bare ground to nest and bask in. There's lots of different floral resources, lots of nectar and pollen, and there's scrub for things to overwinter in.
Sarah's going to help me find some insects, and many of them are very rare.
So this is a photograph of the shrill carder bee, one of our rarest and most threatened bee species in the UK. Suffered massive declines due to a loss of wildflowers in the wider landscape.
Right.
I also am hopeful that we're going to see some beetles.
Yeah.
Certainly the bombardier beetle.
Oh, this is a great thing. I can't wait to get on with this stuff, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Let's go and catch. We've recruited an army of volunteers from the RSPB and Bug Life to help us do a bio-blitz. We're going to split up and gather as many species of insect as we can find across Canby Wick's varied habitats. And it's not long before the tree beaters find an interesting beastie. What's under there? Oh, lovely. It's a longhorn beetle, and it's called Agapanthia viruvilescens. It is just fantastically hairy. Not, I have to say, you know, a particularly rare thing. Nice, but not rare. The pooter insect catcher sucks up one of our target species. What do you got there? Oh, a bombardier beetle. Oh, wonderful. Brachinus crepitans, that's it. That is so cool. The next find comes from the grass sweepers.
Oh, brilliant. This could be what we're looking for. George!
Oh, is that it? Is that the shrill carder bee?
So this is one of our rarest and most threatened bumblebees. This looks like a worker, but that's absolutely fantastic.
Once widespread, there are now only 7 populations left. That's less than 2,000 bees.
We've also got a queen shrill carder bee, which is very, very exciting.
It's my first ever shrill carder bee.
These are pretty quiet at the moment, but if you hold them close to your ear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
just
yeah.
the shrill
A
carder
little
bee.
buzz, a little high-pitched buzz.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. She is now having a feed.
She is. She's
Oh,
having a feed and flicking the ants off that are in her way.
Ants off her. I mean, it's amazing. We're under the flight path of London Airport, but this is just an oasis of wildlife. And most of it's stunning, like this ruby-tailed or cuckoo wasp, which lays its eggs in the nests of other bees and wasps. Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for all your hard work. We have collected well over 100 species. We've done it just before the rain. So I think the sooner we get this stuff released, the better. Well done. I am staggered at the diversity of animals here, and I'm very glad that the oil refinery business started their work but failed to finish it.
Thank you, George. What fun, what fun. Phil, we have to say a very big thank you to Phil Collins this evening. The album, which we really never got a chance to talk about, the singles, is out now, all 34 of them.
And we'll be back tomorrow with Donny Osmond. We'll see you there. Have a lovely evening.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much.